Alright, boys. As a man, you got your own one-bedroom flat. You know, you can't really control the outside forces, you know, like neighbours, people interrupting you. You may live in a household with a lot of people if you're a young man, between the ages of 18, my bad, to 25, you know? And then you move out into the world and you see it's a bit different. Even if you're a grown man, you're renting a room somewhere in a shared house. You know, it's all the same, man. You can't control outside what's going on. You can only control your own environment. You know, this video is just a detailed explanation of how to control your own environment. You know, wrap yourself in a cocoon, if you will. Not letting others interrupt your peace, man. Staying away from miserable people, unlucky people, unhappy people. You know, like the 48 laws of power said, stay away from people that are just unhappy and unlucky, man. Because they will try and bring you down because they know they ain't got no life. Nothing's going on for them. So they will try and interrupt your peace, you know, try and mess up your future. And you gotta do what you gotta do to not let that happen, you know? Protect your own peace at all costs, man, at all costs. Be selfish as possible. Don't feel bad about being selfish, you know? But this video is more for the single guy, you know, who's just trying to build himself up. Whether you live in your parents' house, whether you're trying to move out into your own space, you're gonna find that when you get into the real world, in the big world, man, people are just not as everything seems, you know. Some people are just seriously unhappy, dealing with a lot of stress and trauma, and they just wanna throw that on you, you know, all their bullshit. That's why isolating yourself is the best thing you can do as a man. Not forever, but if you've got a plan that you wanna see come into fruition, you have to have a mindset of isolation, you know. You can't be mixing with everyone, man, because you can't afford to be drained by other people's energies, and, you know, you gotta become more introverted, man. You gotta just, I'm not gonna say cut people off forever, but like I said, if you got a plan and something you wanna do with your life, you can't really talk about it. You can't really tell people about it. You just gotta disappear and chase your dream, man. That's why my last video was not to give up on your dream. I understand sometimes in life we get stressed out, you know, we seem to forget what's going on as far as our own plans, and then we just go with the tide, you know. But even if it's for 5 minutes, you just gotta sit down, you know, either lie down or fold up your legs with your spine straight, put on some headphones, put on something meditative, you know, some nice waterfall music, something that just makes you feel at peace, something that's in your ears, you know. Like, peace of mind is priceless, man. It really is priceless. There's no amount of money you can give me to shed my peace of mind, you know. I used to live in an environment that was very chaotic, man, and I had to force myself out of there, you know. And there's a lot of times where I was unhappy, you know. I mean, I was doing things to pacify myself, to try and make myself feel better about being in the environment. But like I said, it's by the grace of God I got out of the environment into a new environment, you know. I'm not really the friendliest person, you know. I'm not saying I'm antisocial, but I'm very, very socially selective. You know, I don't really involve myself up in people's business. You know, I'm very cautious about who I interact with. You know what I mean? Just because you see me on the street doesn't mean I'm gonna say hello to you if you're a neighbor or something. I just keep myself to myself, man. You know what I mean? I don't like to interact with too many godless people, because godless people just want to bring down other people's frequency. And it's in your best interest to keep your frequency as high as you can possibly get it, man. As high as you can possibly get it, you know? Because your internal world is what creates your outer world, they say, right? and it's got some truth to it. So you really have got to do what you got to do to protect your peace, man. And you can't go through life feeling bad because you want to just isolate yourself and be in peace. You know? Train your body, stack your money, isolate yourself, study, you know? Try and do the things that your future self next year would thank you for, you know? You might not be having the greatest income right now, but just put yourself in position to learn skills that can pay you for the future. Like me personally, I don't give a damn how anyone feels about me isolating myself and just focusing on myself. It's part of life, man. When you're a man that's got a mission, you can't always be outside, you know? You gotta isolate yourself and just focus on what you're doing. What it is you really want. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? That's why I primarily made my channel for men between the ages of 18 and 60, you know? Because I understand, well, I'm not 60 years old yet, but I understand what it is to be a young man maturing into older age, you know? Appreciate you watching the videos, boys. Catch you in the next one. I'm working on getting more of a better audio setup, get a microphone and stuff, things like that. Tune in to the next video, like and subscribe. Appreciate you watching.